जी, एक तो प्लीज़ अपने बारे में थोड़ा-सा बताएँ और गुरुजी को आपने कब सुनना शुरू किया और यहाँ इंडिया में कब आए? और गुरुजी के यहाँ कक्ष में बैठकर आपको कैसा लग रहा है?
हिंदी या इंग्लिश में?
हाँ, दोनों में।
तो ठीक है, मैं गुरुजी के यूट्यूब पर मैं कुछ सर्च कर रही थी ये रीबर्थ के बारे में। तो वो बहुत सुंदर सा वो एक्स्ट्रा सेरेब्रम यानी कि वो जो आती है, सम पीपल रिमेंबर देयर पास्ट लाइव्स। तो उन्होंने 2-3 विषय के बारे में बताए एंड ही वाज yes, he was right about that, those incidents. But I was looking into whether there is a reincarnation, and some Americans have done studies on it. So I got interested. Following that, I started watching more Sundarkand, Tantra ke bare mein. So his YouTube videos were very precise and extremely, what is the word, crisp, clear, very not lengthy, and we could see that everything was coming very naturally from him. And I said, how could this person know all these things? Because the thing is, I'd already studied them. मैंने पढ़ा था. Oh, these मुझे नहीं याद होती, पर उनको clear cut सब याद था. और sometimes I used to even tell my colleagues about him. मैंने बताया वहाँ लंदन में कि ऐसे गुरुजी है, वो he's able to speak. I used to forward those YouTube videos also. And then I think after 8-10 months ago, I contacted him. I said, quest, where is this quest? Then I found the number. I said, no, I'm going to contact him. So I sent him an email, and then he replied giving me his number. So this is how I got. But for me, and I used to be listening to him even night middle, because my state I was very disturbed being there, nothing going well. But whenever I listened to him, I felt peace. I felt he was a force of nature. He was very different from all the other ones. I have seen so many of them who are very good, but I could see there was a simplicity, there was an intelligence here which was different from the others. It was not a rhetoric, routine like people reading something and bringing it out, but he was original. He was single-minded. He was very clear about what his life, and there was this consciousness in him which was very. Where does he get that? How is he? This was the questions that I told my friends, I told my husband, I told my, so this went on. Because also I come from a scientific background, and the subject on the hard problem of consciousness has been attractive to me a lot. It's a very modern subject now on consciousness, and he was talking about very deep consciousness and about what is this life all about, and manifestations in different forms, incarnations and all that. And that was exactly agreeing with what I'm reading on consciousness by the Western. Now the Western authors, philosophers, are almost talking about the Vedantic philosophy, which he was an embodiment. He was a master. He knew it. He knew all the Western philosophy. He knew Schopenhauer. He knew Descartes. He knew Kant. He knew all those people. How did he know, being here in this small city here? And that was always surprising to me. And I thought, is he just an encyclopedia? Because somehow I must have gone through all his videos. Is he just an encyclopedia? Because there are people with amazing memory. But there was something more than that. Not just a memory to show off. Not a memory to bring that goodness in everybody. That was his dharma. I think there was an amsha, there was some part of God. We all have it, but there was a force of nature, and that I can definitely say. And he tells me why sons are more superior to other saints, and he gives very good examples how sons should eat. They should give up all their desires. They should eat whatever is given to them. These sort of things are very attractive to me. Thank you. I really, every time I might repeat those, I've watched them so many times. And in fact, I wanted to ask you whether I can get an audio of the whole lot. I'll pay for it. Because so I don't have to keep on changing YouTube
So
videos.
ultimately, how did you decide that you must go to Kurukshetra?
It was something within me. It was something that's calling me here. That was a calling. Otherwise, this won't happen. Because so many other places, they say, oh, you have to go here, you have to go there. But this was definitely a calling. I want to go there. I want to see his place. I mean, today I'm sitting here. I can feel, he's talking. I must have gone through so many. Every day I listened, almost every day for last 3 years. At least for 15 minutes I would listen. My way of what is the word, rewinding was listen to his and then go to sleep. It was very peaceful to me, and I think I learned a lot from him. And I told my husband, there's something very special, maybe we should do something about it. And that is why I'm here. And because it's
So,
wonderful, really.
please tell more about you, what you are doing in England now, and
Sure.
what is time.
So, I am a scientist. I'm a research scientist. I teach as well. And my field is aeronautics. I work with a very famous man called as Professor Jeffrey Lilly, who every plane carries his nozzle, and he invented, and he was born engineer. At the same time, I was comparing him with Guruji because that knowledge was there in that field. So he was very special. He's known all over the world because not just of his inventions, but he came up through very low means there was no money, so he had to, work hard and no proper school. School drop. He didn't drop out, but he didn't go to any rich schools, or he had to work all his way. So he was, what you can say, and life was against him all the time. Life has been against him, but yet there was this driving force, and he never talked about God, but he said to me once, God is within you.
Okay.
God is within you. This is the first time I heard a Western professor talking that God is in you.
Aham Brahmasmi.
That was something. But he never talked more about God. And he was also, everything for him was about flow, waves. He said, my world is a world of waves. Waves in a cup. So you can see here, you won't see, but there are a lot of things happening in this glass. Okay? Waves in nature. So you won't see, if you put an agarbatti here, we can calculate when it will reach the smell will reach, the perfume will reach the other point. So you can't see them, but it is happening. So then he used to tell me the whole universe is a vortex. It is spinning.
Okay.
It's a huge vortex.
So we can say that your professor was encyclopedia of world for you at the highest level. And on the other part, what was the inside of us, deeper us, real self was, you find in Guruji that part. So both joints and makes you complete.
Yeah, it's complementary to each other, and that actually makes me more excited because that knowledge which my professor gave and this Vedantic knowledge from Guruji, whatever I have learned, they are very complementary, and it has enriched my life. It is a progression in my life, and there is no fear of anything. I do take, my mother tells me, why do you get into, why you know how to get into trouble? I say, Mommy, I know how to get into trouble, but I also know how to get out of trouble. So this is something I because I know I go out of I'm sort of go out of my way to do something for people, and then they, but there's nothing so bad. It's good that I'm able to do something in my own means. And I don't think money is going to bring happiness at all. I think knowledge is there. It's here. It's everywhere. You have to seek. My professor told me one thing. Seek and you'll find it.
Oh.
Whatever you want is staring at you in the face. These were the words he said. Whatever you want. Why are you looking at it? It's there. And it was there. The answers were there. How you look at it. So for example, he would look at imagine just exhaust coming out of gases and fire he would see beautiful structures in that.
Wow.
Not and they were all physical, they were real. Not see means he could imagine, he was visualizing. So it was not like he was seeing them, but he knew all the physics of that whole exhaust, and he was able to he's made very good predictions about many things. There is a
Okay.
Lilly equation.
Okay.
There is there is so much that has gone on behind. I mean, every plane carries his nozzle, and then of course then it went to America and they called
Then,
it chevrons.
then what is known that nozzle as specific any name or
Tabs.
okay.
TABS. They were called as tabs in England. Then when they took it to America, until then, and he reduced the noise of all aircrafts by 10 decibels.
Okay.
So when I'm talking to you now, I'm talking about 50-60 decibels. Okay, so this is decibels. So this is the sound level, the intensity. So in aircrafts and all, we are talking over 120, 120. It's very noisy, it's very loud. But he was able to reduce the noise and bring out new fundamental aspects of aerodynamics. So that is why he's been given the name father of aeroacoustics.
Okay. Please, a full name of
Jeffrey, that is not Geoffrey M. Lilly. He's on Wikipedia, but Wikipedia doesn't justify his work. There is so much more. I'm
we
very
can
happy to
feel the
share it.
personality of that great person in your eyes and your expressions
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Yeah.
Anything more you would like to tell about your profession, your research work,
Yeah, so
your
my
institute?
work was on supersonic jets.
Okay.
So you can't measure high noise at 55,000 feet. Okay.
Okay.
You can't do experiment. So we did something called as numerical simulation.
Okay.
So we kind of generate, we make right on computer. We say this is the noise that is there, 120 whatever. What will happen when it travels all the way down to Earth? The shock waves are formed. So it's a very beautiful subject. I can go on
Okay.
about it. Very interesting subject.
So, when you went to England, and what was the reason how you went there and met your
So
professor?
I was working in Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, and then I joined NAL, National Aeronautical Lab. And I don't know why, but I always wanted to do a PhD. Nobody in my house had done. My mother wanted to get me married, but I just wanted to do a PhD. And I came to know about this scholarship. It's called a Spitfire Scholarship. So it is a named scholarship by a person who designed the Spitfire planes during the Second World War, which was responsible for the Allied forces winning against Germany. Otherwise, Hitler would have been ruling the whole of the Europe. And the person who designed the Spitfire died before he could see the success of his planes.
Okay.
He got cancer at the age of 46 and he died. So a scholarship was started, which is called the Spitfire Mitchell Memorial Scholarship, and I was one of the recipients of it.
Okay.
So I was lucky. And he was my mentor. So when I went, he was in the airport at 6 a.m. in the morning to collect me. He had come all the way from Southampton, driven 60 miles to pick me up in London. And I didn't know anything. I was very young, and those days, I'm talking about 33 years ago. So it was a big change for me. And I think he made me feel very comfortable. He didn't treat me like a daughter because I was his student, but he grounded me deeply into research.
Okay.
Deeply into research.
And although our subject of talk would go diverse and diverse, but yes, we would like to know in essence what you feel about the England or London. What is the essence of that place for you, and what is special about that place, and what thing you miss there the most?
So I'll be honest, because initially I loved the engineering, all that. I used to also read a lot of Shakespeare. My father had introduced me to Western English books and all. So I used to read a lot of Shakespeare and English literature. Wordsworth was at home, all the poems, English poems, English literature. And that is something I revived, and I was very fascinated by English when I grew up here as well. And my father would quote most of the Shakespeare's, he was so good, to be or not to be, women. So all Shakespeare he would quote here in London. My father was also like an encyclopedia.
Okay.
But he was in my city he was called as a mini computer.
Okay.
So that was rubbed onto me, not the especially the language, and also my father was very much into Upanishads and Vedanta, and he would quote a lot of the Sanskrit verses, and not a ritual person at all. My father, just like Guruji, he was not ritualistic. So both of them rubbed onto me, and then of course what I like about England is. There is a freedom. You want to do something, you can do, which is again here as well, but there is something which you feel, oh, you need to do. And especially I'm more Indian than many Indians here, because I feel connected here. And if I were given a choice, were you to be born anywhere, I would definitely be born in a village in India. But I like knowledge. And when I saw Vedanta, when I started understanding Ramayana and all these authors, Kalidasa, I said, this is like a live movie. Like one of my favorite sweets is, like Mysore Pak, one of those halwas, whatever we call. When it goes into the mouth, that happiness you get. That's exactly what I feel when I read Sanskrit, when I read the stories. How beautiful are these words? How could they have come with this? And English pales into insignificance. Means Shakespeare was not, because Shakespeare never talked about God as much. He talked about right and wrong, but I don't think there's a lot of sadness in his work. Whereas the books here there is a hope. There is something. Oh, don't worry, it'll be all right. It's a balmy feeling. Balmy means very comfort feeling, which comes from here. In Shakespeare's, there's nothing. It's just hopelessness. So those are the things I have really enjoyed. But
So you came India much better in abroad than it could be when you were in India.
yeah,
So
I sometimes feel if I were in India, would I have appreciated this country?
no, yes.
Because now again I am also interested in Indian history, Indian archaeology, and I do dab into it. And I feel a lot of things went from here all over the world, and that recognition is not there. But people here are not interested in anything. They just want to live
Yes,
a
fill their
false
belly,
Western life,
yes, show
which is
off.
sad, because what has gone into them is include everything. They dress up like that, they talk like that, they speak like that, they go, everything is. But that's only the outside, right? They are only interested in the outside bit. The Indians, our rishis were talking about, what is this life? Where are we going to go? Consciousness they were talking about, which is the latest. In the last 40 years, the science has been talking about consciousness, whereas our rishis were talking thousands of years ago on consciousness. That avyakta, the consciousness creates the physical universe. Hans Peter Doyle has already said matter is not made out of matter.
Wow.
Okay? It's the consciousness that creates.
Guruji always reiterated this saying many times.
Yes. He said that, is it?
Yeah.
I feel somewhere I've connected, somewhere there is something I feel. When I'm coming here, maybe because I've seen the videos, maybe, there is we also over imagine things, because I'm very scientific about a lot of things. But science is very reductionist. It only takes one wave out of the whole sea and then it says, oh, I can understand that wave.
Okay.
But you can't do that. I think when Guruji says things like science will only tell you facts, for values you need
Wow.
spiritualism. And that is something very powerful.
Yes.
If you want values. And he also says to be spiritualistic, one has to have moral values.
Wow.
That's very
This is
important. Yeah.
ultimate essence of Guruji's philosophy.
Yeah. Thank you very
So,
much.
great welcome to Kurukshetra. Hope you would stay
And I'm
here
very
and
privileged
enjoy.
that Vikas ji has given me this opportunity to allow me to stay with him and his wonderful
No,
family.
it's an opportunity for us. We, the simple people of village, are
Village doesn't mean that
having
in
such
the
a wonderful
the
time.
Villages are got all these great people, who don't want to go into the city, who don't want to go into the shopping malls, but sit and concentrate. And,
Okay.
whatever you want to do, dhyana. I think he talks about dhyana as well. I think in one
Yeah.
of his thing. And
But Guruji was basically focusing on Karma Yoga.
yeah.
Karma Yoga, Jnana Yogi. He was.
I wish I could have met him, had I known. That is, it's okay. I think he's brought me here and he's, physically I know he's
And many
not-
times I personally think that he was perfect mixture of 5 elements and after
Mahabhutas.
Panch Mahabhuta, and he surrendered that part to
He's there, yeah.
particular Mahabhuta, and I never imagined that he could again be reborn. No, he had nothing left with him. So
Very beautiful mind, and Mahapurush. I thought my professor was Mahapurush because at the age of 90 he was climbing. He never gave up. Never gave up. Only 4 or 5 days before he died,
okay,
he said, I can't understand. By the way, he was doing cosmology. So he was trying to understand the universe. Cosmology is part of physics. And he was trying to say, what is this world? And he wrote a paper which got accepted in the Journal of Cosmology.
okay,
And so basically he was trying to understand what is this universe. So in his own way, he was giving the explanation in scientific form. Because he's saying that there is no vacuum. There cannot be perfect vacuum in space. We say there's vacuum, right? So it can't be vacuum. There is something.
okay. There is something.
There is something.
There is something.
Even in the vacuum, there is something.
There is something.
There is Brahma. There is consciousness, right? In vacuum also there is consciousness. So you can't say vacuum is not completely removing air. When you remove air also there is something.
There is something.
Yeah. So that and all. Of course, he talks about Sankhya Darshana. I listen to that. All the 3 gunas, and of course the gunas you can connect the tamo gunas with the dark matter, dark energy, and all. But I have not delved too much into that part of physics, so I won't go into it because there will be many interpretations. Because you can
Yes.
always interpret all the Vedas, Vedanta to science. I think let us keep them separate. But when it comes to consciousness, our Vedas, our Upanishads are, the modern science is very much in its infant stage when you compare
Okay.
it with the Upanishads.
Okay.